Hi, welcome back to AWS reInvent. We're live from Las Vegas, and we're going to talk about machine learning again, right? There's never enough machine learning on Twitch. So I'm Julian, I'm a tech evangelist with AWS, and guess what? I focus on machine learning. Before we go into our topic, I would like to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves. So let's do that.
Thanks, Julian. My name is Jessica Locke. I lead product management at Amazon Mechanical Turk.
And I'm Dave Schultz. I lead business development for Amazon Mechanical Turk.
And I'm Randall. I'm just a software engineer who happened to be on stage and they pulled me over here.
All right, okay, so that's taken care of. So, like I said, this is a machine learning session. So for some of the viewers out there, maybe machine learning is a bit of a mystery topic. So could you please tell us a little bit about the typical machine learning process? What are we trying to do here?
Sure, I can get into that. So, people think about machine learning, they think about very sophisticated algorithms, they think about high, power computers to churn through. But machine learning really starts with data. So data does the heavy lifting when it comes to machine learning. And what people may not realize is that human input is needed in every step of the machine learning process. So let's say you're trying to train a chatbot to handle customer service interactions. So before you can do anything, you need lots of what we call text utterances. So how would a customer type, I want to return something, right?
Right.
You don't have that data to start off with. So you need to gather a lot of that data. Once you have that data, you have to label it. So you have to say, oh, when a customer types this, what they're trying to do is they're trying to return something, or they want to cancel a flight. And once the data is labeled and when you have enough data, that's when you can finally start training your model. And once your model is trained, you actually, again, need human input to validate whether your model is doing the right thing. You may need to actually go back and gather additional data, and the process starts over again.
Yeah, and people get always very excited about algos and hyperparameters and tweaking stuff, but you're right. The bulk of the work is building the data set, cleaning the data set, labeling the data set for supervised learning, which is really the majority of machine learning. And well, maybe one day we will have algos who can do all of that.
Yeah. Well,
but today we need people, right? So when would you really need humans across the spectrum? So let's take maybe an example. Let's talk about classifying images.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that the problem is really kind of pronounced when you need unstructured data, right? It's different when you have transactional data that's already in your database, you have a very clean schema, you know what to do with the data. But when it comes to unstructured data, such as images, audio, video, that's when the human input is really important. Dave, do you want to talk some customer examples there?
Sure. So in the case of an image, image classification task, we work with customers like Pinterest who are trying to solve problems such as, identifying if this is the right image to put with this recommendation or search results. So in their case, they're taking images, they're submitting them into the Mechanical Turk platform and getting humans to actually provide that input that is then used to train their models and also to validate the models and make sure that they're getting the right results back on an ongoing basis.
Right, and there's an element of judgment there, right? Because you uniquely need human input to tell you, hey, are these images similar to each other? Are they relevant? There's not really an algorithm that tells you that without that human judgment to tell you that this is actually good.
Yeah, and people make mistakes, right? So actually, I guess you need multiple people to look at the same samples again and again to kind of reduce the error, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're starting to talk about our product, Amazon Mechanical Turk, right? So what Amazon Mechanical Turk is that we provide our customers programmatic access to this a large, diverse crowd of humans who are available to do these type of labeling tasks. So we have workers, 500,000 workers from 190 different countries.
Wow. Okay.
So
talk about scale now.
Right.
Yeah.
So that gives you a couple of things, right? One is it gives you that scale. So again, going back to the example of I want to train a chatbot to handle customer service. You want a lot of variation on how people will say things and type things. So having that scale of number of people, unique number of people, is really helpful. So that's one aspect of that. Another, as you mentioned already, is you might want to have multiple people answer the same question, right? So going back to this Pinterest example, one person might be biased and say, well, I don't think these results are very relevant. But when you ask multiple people and they come up with similar answers, you actually have a lot more confidence that you got the right answer.
So how does the process work? How does a developer go out and define a task and then put it out into Mechanical Turk for people to go and accomplish that task? And how do you get the data back out again?
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So developers can start in a couple different directions. They can use our website. They can come in. They define a task in HTML. It's the tasks are really just HTML forms that they can style with CSS and JavaScript to extract the information they need. So if you're doing image labeling, it's simply display the image, display the the options that they can select from a set of categories, and that's your template. That's the task that you want to put out there. And then once you've defined that template, you can submit the task. You can define the task itself, i.e. the title, the description, some aspects of the audience you want to reach, and finally how much you want to reward workers who complete that task. And then it's just simply a matter of submitting it to the community. You can do that both from our website, or you can do that using any of the AWS SDKs to submit via the API.
So I could say import Boto 3 client, Mechanical Turk, I want this task, do this thing, and then I wait for the answers.
Yeah, and if
Exactly.
you want to know immediately, you can attach an SNS notification so that the second the answer is done, you can trigger some other process.
Oh man, then you could have a Lambda function fire off the SNS notification. You could have a whole thing there. That's
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great example of how you can use Mechanical Turk in an event-driven way. So especially when going back to human in loop.
Right.
Oftentimes, let's say your algorithm is not confident. So you want, 90+% confidence and your algorithm is only about 70%. That's when you can also fire off a real-time task to humans and get back those answers.
Yeah, so actually, just previously today we talked about Amazon Translate, and it's a great service. But sometimes you really, really need that translation to be absolutely perfect. And you could say the same for other high-level services, like recognition, comprehend, etc. So I guess you could need humans there as well. So how could Mechanical Turk help here? And do we do this programmatically, right?
Well, that's a great example. I would even go one step further, right? So for example, if you have video content of movies or TV shows, so in the United States, actually, when you have pre-recorded media, the closed captioning has to be perfect, in fact.
Exactly.
Even you have to include things like non-verbal aspects of the video, you have to have that. So you can start with 100% perfect transcription, caption, and you might be able to get kind of 80% of the way there with something like Amazon Transcribe, but then in addition of human in the loop, you can actually get that to 100%. And once you have perfect transcription, it makes it a lot easier to actually translate to different languages. So all of that can be stringed together as a single workflow because everything is API enabled, so you can do that.
Even with the human in the loop part, you also have this advantage of being able to define things that something like transcribe isn't designed to pick up on.
Absolutely.
So you could say, oh, the hit 1970s song is playing in the background during the scene as part of the closed captions. And that's something that the transcribe really wouldn't ever pick up. It's just trying to get the text.
Yeah, things that people are really good at are things like slang, right? Abbreviations. And again, for us, it's very natural to kind of take the context into our minds when we do the transcription. Machine can, it's a lot harder for a machine to do that.
So coming back to customers, so you mentioned Pinterest, I believe.
Sure.
Any other example?
Oh, there's a bunch. A good example is Facebook, actually. So the Facebook AI research team actually uses Mechanical Turk to do a lot of their training and validation for some of particularly their open source projects. So for example, and particularly in the natural language processing, natural language understanding space. So in their case, they've actually built an entire platform that they've open sourced called Parlay that allows them to very efficiently gather, validate, and test chat interactions. So they can basically allow any researcher to stand up a task in Mechanical Turk that allows you to collect utterances, validate the quality of a response that a chatbot provided, interact with the chatbot, kind of validate the quality of it, or even interact with each other as multiple workers interact in
it's really cool,
context.
and it kind of speaks back to the fact that with Mechanical Turk, customers have a lot of flexibility into how they want to design the interface for workers to interact. So with the Parlay example, you can have two unique workers, individual workers, simulate a customer service interaction, for example, like troubleshoot my cable modem, something is wrong. So one worker plays the role of the agent, and they're kind of following a script. and another worker plays a role of the customer, and they have a as natural as possible text interaction through that interface. And so all the utterances that are collected can now be used as training data.
And you would define that as two separate tasks that interacted with each other?
Yeah, they built this really cool platform that leverages this feature called external questions, which then enables them to host this very cool interactive solution on their own server, but still be published via Mechanical Turk.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned that this was used by the Facebook Messenger API for the auto verification of the bots, the chat bots.
No, it's actually the research arm of Facebook.
It's from the research arm.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they developed this again. It's an open source platform, so that again they're trying to standardize how researchers collect this type of what they call chit chat kind of dialogue utterances, so that again it could be shared within a community as well.
So how would you get started with the service? Because it's quite different from the other services that we offer. So what would be maybe the first few things that customers need to look at to get started? What are some best practices maybe to get the best results out of Mechanical Turk?
So there's a bunch of good things you can do. I think the first step is just come in and explore the tool. So it's create a small task, create a set of a few tasks, and see how workers respond. If you have a specific project in mind, let's say you want to collect chat utterances, come up with a few questions, design a simple task interface, and ask those questions. You don't need to go create a very large 1,000-item project. Just start small, explore it, and see the responses you get back from workers. The workers that participate in the Mechanical Turk platform are incredibly diligent. They're incredibly interested in being successful on the platform and making you successful, because that's the best way for them to continue to see work come through the platform. So as a result, they'll let you know. They'll share with you feedback. They'll let you know what's working, what's not working, and you can interact with them. You can ask questions, those types of things, and it allows you to get that type of real improvement that you need in your tasks. That when you want to start expanding it and doing something larger, it's much, much easier.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our customers, especially those who are doing machine learning already, what they're currently doing is that they're essentially getting volunteers from their own company. Literally, we're hearing about PhD machine learning scientists as well as software developers doing the data labeling. So a lot of potential customers they're already doing this within their organization. So it's actually pretty natural to transition and say, all right, how do I make this task actually more self-contained, so that if I can't walk down the hallway and talk to
someone, have no context
right.
and know nothing.
Right.
And,
so that I kind of start there and then say, all right, and then also have each other work on those tasks and say, okay, the instructions make sense. Because again, as Dave said, at the end of the day, workers are humans, right? They appreciate feedback. They appreciate examples. Show me but don't tell me. So if you're doing category images, show me what are you looking for? Give me examples of good examples, bad examples. So those are all some of the common best practices.
And maybe that's a difficult question, but what's the typical time scale? I mean, let's say I've got 10 million images that I want to label, right? Let's say those are video frames, for autonomous driving, and I want people to, label cars and pedestrians, etc. What are we talking about? Is it days, weeks, months? Ballpark estimates.
Well, I mean, I think.
And no one's listening, so.
I think
10 million images is a lot of images.
Yeah.
But it's like I would generally say if you said you wanted to submit 10,000 images, I'd say you can get that in a day.
Okay.
So in most cases, so scale that up to 10 million, I'd have to do some math.
Okay, sure.
It's late in the day and all that, but.
But I think what we consistently hear from customers is every customer, once they're hooked on to Mechanical Turk, they have that magic moment. So they load a bunch of work and they kind of go away and they come back and they're like, it's done. Wow, that's, so a lot of customers who use Mechanical Turk regularly, they see that, and again, the scale, even though it might not be completely predictable because it depends on what kind of task it is, but I think that's what we hear over and over again from our customers, so is that it gets done a lot quicker than they expect.
It sounds like there's an existing API where you say, this is my task, it's presented, and then your JavaScript or something in your task calls out to say, hey, this task is complete now, I'll go on to the next one, or is there some interface that your backend has to adhere to in order to make sure that you're saying that the task is done to Mechanical Turk? Or is it all contained in that template?
Yeah, so think about every task as fairly discrete. And so if you have, let's say, a 100,000 row data set, so each row could be potentially a task, right? And then so when customers are using it kind of in a batch mode, then essentially they can call our API and just essentially go through all the entire data set. And the things will just come in, the results will come in as workers complete them.
So a follow-up question there is, do we have templates on GitHub or something for people to check out and use as example tasks?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can come to the website and get started from the mturk.com, and when you first come into the interface, you'll be presented with a bunch of standard templates that we provide right there. There's also plenty of templates both in our GitHub as well as in a host of other researchers who've created interesting templates over the years that you can search out on the internet if there's a specific type of task
Dave
you want to do.
has written many helpful blog entries
Oh,
on
yes,
our blog as well.
Blog.mturk.com has tons of examples that I've written over the last, and others have written over the last couple of years.
I've got to check this out. So
Do you have some questions?
We have some questions
All right,
from
let's
the
take
Twitch
questions.
stream, and I think we'll do a few of these and then start to close out and ask maybe one or two more questions, and then if anybody has other questions, now's the time to get them in because we're going to try and get through all of them as quickly as possible here.
Yeah, fire away.
A lot of these questions go back to what we were talking about earlier from Solipstic, Polemic, and Mel's League, and PFLEBR. I'm sorry about your names. I know I'm butchering them. And they come to the crux of it of, can my HTML page include audio or video as part of the task?
Yeah, certainly. It's totally expected that you might have somebody listen to some audio and actually transcribe it, or watch a video and identify the actions that are being performed in it. Those types of things are very common.
Absolutely. I mean, it's as flexible as HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So whatever you can do there, you can do pretty complex things like, for example, transcribing. Right.
And NYC Kid 80 asked, does Mechanical Turk have API support for notifications to Lambda? And I think you said it had an SNS topic, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you can.
So there you go.
You attach an SNS topic either at various stages actually of task completion, so you can very quickly know when stuff is being picked up and then when it's complete and take actions on it.
And does the data, when it's complete, does it, is there something that takes it directly to S3, or is there a process on your own backend that you're running to get it into S3?
You would need to pull it down from Mechanical Turk. You basically need to get the results from Mechanical Turk and then load it into whatever, either S3 or Dynamo or any of those other services you might want to use.
You don't even necessarily need to be on AWS to use it. You could use it completely orthogonal to the...
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
but many
awesome.
of our customers have their data already in S3, so that's kind of where they start and end their process. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are there any other questions on the stream? You have maybe 20
I've got
more
one.
seconds, and I know you.
And it's the most important of all, and we didn't answer it. I'm sure people are wondering, why is this thing called Mechanical Turk? So if anybody knows, you've got 10 seconds to answer before those guys answer it. You know the answer?
I'm not allowed, though.
Oh, that's 10 seconds. All right.
Just to get the research.
Why is that?
To
Why is
remind
that?
refresher.
Well, actually, so I think we like to think of the Mechanical Turk as the original human in a loop. So the story comes back to there was this thing called the Turk, which was a chess-playing automaton. So basically, you picture kind of a robot-looking person and a big chessboard, and this machine could, in theory, play chess really, really well. And in fact, it defeated a lot of, I think Benjamin Franklin was one of the people that defeated it. It was really amazing at the time. It was built by this guy named Wolfgang von Kempelen, and he did this apparently to impress the Empress of Austria, and I think he achieved that. But it turned out to be a complete illusion. It was an illusion, right? There were multiple chess masters within the machine itself, but we just love that. And again, this is where the name of the service came from. But I think it's amazing that it's so true to today is the fact that it's actually the hybrid of the machine and the human that's accomplishing kind of this amazing things that we can do now.
So I think it's kind of funny because a lot of people are afraid that AI and machine learning is going to replace humans, but I think for the last 20 minutes, we've just explained that there wouldn't be any machine learning at all if there weren't humans, and we need actually people to build the data, and only the human mind and the human eye can understand, and the human ear can understand the finer nuances of speech and images and videos, etc. So yeah, there's still plenty of humans in the loop, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And we have another quick question from the stream, which is, in your opinion, what's the most complex task you've seen submitted?
Oh, interesting.
From Coventry Makerspace.
I think the Facebook one is pretty unique.
It's pretty unique.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's been so many really fascinating tasks where people will have workers. We also see a lot of use of Mechanical Turk in social sciences.
Don't forget about emoji dick.
Yeah, so somebody translated Moby Dick into emojis.
Okay,
which,
that is amazing.
which is great.
Can you buy emoji dick still? I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can look it up. It's literally a book that's sick, and it's Moby Dick translated into emojis, and that was done by Mechanical Turk workers.
See,
Wow.
like I said, human creativity has no,
Yeah.
has no limits.
You could build a sequence-to-sequence model with that and
Yeah,
just do
well,
all of my
interesting.
tests. All right.
Interesting story. All right, we're out of time, so I want to thank our guests. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for having us.
It was
Thank
a pleasure
you.
to
Thanks
have
so
you
much for
guys.
coming on.
And there you go. Humans in the Loop, Mechanical Turk, the starting point of machine learning across the globe.
Stay tuned. We have more coming up.
See you. Bye-bye.